Abby and welcome back to a new video. I am currently in my living room because I'm too lazy to walk to my bedroom, so just pretend like the background of this is pink and fun. So for today's video, it's going to be another video in my Can I Recreate It series, where I find something that I find online, but there's always something that I'm not the biggest fan of, whether it's like the kind of fabric they use or like the color and print of the fabric or the price. And so for today's video, I found this really cute dress from Hollister. It's like this cute little plaid dress with this bubble hem skirt, and I don't mind plaid, but I was definitely not a fan of the plaid colors that they had available. And I also, controversial opinion, I do not like bubble hems. I think that they are only for standing and when you're in movement, but you can't like sit down in them. Otherwise, when you stand up, it like looks weird. So for me, I am just not a fan of the bubble hem, but everything else about this style of dress I absolutely adored. And I was like, you know what, I'm gonna try to make it. And this, I also decided to buy the fabric right before Joann's closed. So heartbreaking. And I'm absolutely in love with how it turned out. It's this cute little bleeding hearts fabric. So, and then I have the decorations, or like the accents of it, I should say, to be red. And I'm absolutely obsessed with how the dress turned out. So let's jump right in and see me try to tackle this Hollister dress, but Abby style. To begin, I started with the waist piece of the dress. I made it 5 pieces all together and cut them out, and then cutting out 5 more of the exact same pieces for my lining. Putting them right sides together, I sewed them all down, leaving open the back for a zipper. I did have to alter them a bit to get them to fit right, because if it's too baggy and not tight enough, it would be very distracting. But I did not want it to be like too tight that it was like hard to breathe or sit down. Once the waist pieces were all sewn, I moved on to the skirt piece. This style of dress was more of a drop waist than I usually make, so I did not need to make the skirt as long as I'm used to. I cut out 2 long rectangles, with one of the long rectangles being the front piece, and the second long rectangle I cut in half to now have 2 pieces, and these 2 pieces will be the back pieces, with the middle being open for the zipper, as I did for the waist. I wanted to make it also a box pleat skirt with a lot of poof, so I spent a stupidly long time measuring out every ½ inch along the top of the rectangles and folding it into box pleats. I used so many pins to hold it down, and then I connected the sides together with each of the back pieces to either side of this front skirt piece, and then I sewed them down. I then moved on to my serger and serged down the side seam allowances. I tried to have some of the pleats fold over to cover the side seams, and then I did a basting stitch along the top to hold all the pleats in place. Taking back out my waist pieces, I pinned the skirt pieces in between the 2 layers like a sandwich and sewed that down, and then I turned it inside out with all the raw edges now being tucked inside. Some parts of the basting stitch were visible from the front, so I used my seam ripper to remove those stitches. I went back to my serger and serged down the back raw edge where the zipper would go, sergering both the skirt and the 2 waist pieces together. Putting that aside, I began to work on the bust pieces. I had used a shirt that had a similar vibe to how I want the bust pieces to come out, and then I used that as a base to cut out my pieces. I cut out 4 pieces all together, and then made a dart in the middle to have them fit me better. And I even roughly pinned them to myself to make sure that they would fit me right. Once I was happy with them, I pinned down all 4 darts on them and sewed those down, and then taking 2 at a time, I put them right sides together and sewed down around the 2 side top edges, leaving the bottom edge open. Turning them inside out, I used an iron to make them lay down flat, and then took back out my bottom half of the dress. I pinned the bust cups to my waist part, folding in the top raw edge along the way. Before sewing that down, I also pinned down my zipper, Folding in the back serged edge, I pinned my zipper down, making sure that the waist seams line up. And then I also pinned down the underneath section of the zipper and sewed that down first before sewing down my zipper. After that was secure, I sewed down my zipper and then sewed down the top edge of the dress, securing in the bust cups. With the base of the dress practically complete, I used this beautiful red ribbon to sew along the top of the dress and under the bust pieces. I used a lighter to prevent the ends from fraying, and then sewed down both the left and right sides of the ribbon to the top of the dress. Once that was complete, I then used that same ribbon for my straps. I seam ripped open a bit of the back stitching in order to hide the ribbon in the seams, and then sewed that down first. I then decided on how long I wanted the straps to be, and then seam ripped open the very top of the bust cups, inserted in the straps, and then securely sewed those down. I didn't want the stitching to be visible, so I did opt to hand stitch it down instead of using my machine. Then I did a rolled hem along the bottom of the skirt to my desired length, and then I used that ribbon to cut out a long strand, lighted the ends to prevent fraying, and then I tied it into a bow. And using my hand sewing needle, I sewed it down in the middle, in between the bust cups, and then the dress was complete. Alright, and the final dress. I'm absolutely obsessed with how it turned out. So I've been working on this dress for a hot minute. I do a little bit, I stop, do a little bit, and stop. So it's definitely been like a few weeks, maybe like 3 weeks I've been working on it, because I've just been procrastinating so hard. And I cut out the pieces of the waist first, and I don't remember why I didn't want to shear it. I wanted a zipper. And I think that it did cause some problems in the waist area because of that. I do think that if you just make it a little bit bigger and then shear the back of it, it will fit so much better. Don't know why I did that, but I'm still absolutely obsessed with it. and I love it so much. It is starting to get a little bit chilly out, but there are a few more warm days coming up, and so I'm so excited and I hope I can wear this. And it's also like, if you wear like a t-shirt underneath, or even when it gets cold, put a turtleneck underneath. I am so excited for all the possibilities. And my hair is in definite need of a red refresh, but once it is, I am so excited and I'm absolutely in love with this dress. And I hope everyone else loves it as much as I do. Thank you so much for watching, and stay tuned for when I get the energy to make a new one.